Hello, my name is Miranda Summerton, and if you are new to this channel, I would like to invite you to scroll down to the subscribe button so that you are notified whenever I bring up something new about abuse. Now, on this channel, I address abuse and especially narcissism and the codependent, or more popular name, the empath. So hit that subscribe button so that you are notified of new material. So the question is, why do victims of abuse stay in abusive relationships or even put up with it? Sure, there are valid reasons such as children, finances, housing, even religious convictions. That probably weighs very heavy for many people. However, there is one very, very certain, although very hidden reason why victims of abuse stay and put up with abuse, and that is called mirroring. Now, my question to you is, how do you see yourself? It's not something you can do without a mirror. In the physical realm, we need a physical, tactile mirror to remember or to see or to inspect what we look at. Now, abusers found or invented a psychological mirror in which they reflect what they would like others to see about themselves. When they mirror another person, it is not a real image. It is a copy of the original, much like the physical mirror. How it's done is they pretend to be interested in the same thing as someone else, but it is a hollow, shallow reflection. It is not a real interest. It is just a pretending to be interested to obtain a certain goal. This phase of the relationship feels very much, and in fact it is an inquisition. It is initially a flattering gathering of information about every single part of your being. And the fact is, even if you do have good boundaries, the abuser will almost always win you over with their charm, because they are very, very charming at first. And this experience feels overwhelming. And should you actually choose not to engage, no problem. The abuser will employ other skills, in fact, all skills necessary to push past and get you to lower your defenses if you have what they want. So mirrors do a range of things. Healthy mirroring involves a person who sees you accurately and allows you to see them as they are. So it's reciprocal. In healthy mirroring, one party points out your strength and gently points out your weaknesses, because people sort of take care of each other. So a good friend or lover or colleague would say, you're excellent at that, but can I help you with this, because I see you struggle a little bit with that. That's a healthy mirroring. An unhealthy mirror will reflect a distorted version of yourself. Some amusement parks, I'm sure you remember this as a little child, or you've seen this on TV. So these amusement parks have these mirrors that distort your reflection in scary or hilarious ways. I mean, this is for recreational purposes only. And you know beforehand that you will not be faced with reality. You know that what you see is not real. You are prepared for it, and you know it is fake. Now, an abuser pays much attention to you, and they learn about you quite quickly, finding away every piece of information that you share about yourself. Many people succumb to the love interest or attention as the abuser provides. They gather information about the good, the bad, and the ugly parts of your life. Pay close attention to what your goals and dreams and desires are so that they can pretend that they have the same dreams and the same goals and the same desires as you do, thus mirroring back to you, and you think that you have found the perfect friend, the perfect love, the perfect companion, the perfect work colleague. They remember the way you look in every situation, the good, the bad, and the ugly. They pay attention. They remember it all. And down the road, for example, in a heated argument, knowing how traumatic your relationship with your sister was, they will throw this curveball at you, saying something like, wow, now that you're mad at me, I can see why your sister won't talk to you. And even as they say that, they know that they cut you deep. And that's exactly what they intend to do. The abuser makes sure that you gradually become disconnected from people who used to fill your life space and who used to mirror healthy reflections to you. The mirror forms part of a larger process of manipulation and control that is terrifying. It is called the light to dark reflection technique. Initially, abusers are great at mirroring all the good things about you. The abuser mirrors overwhelming praise, adoration, and respect to the extent like you've never felt it before. Nobody has ever adored you, respected you, praised you like the abuser. But right now, you don't yet know that this person is an abuser, and he or she is just a nice person. For as long as the abuser mirrors positive traits back to the victim, this mirroring is called the light mirror phase. Unfortunately, this light mirror phase ends very suddenly and turns to dark mirror phase in an instant, leaving you confused and in a state of disarray. When the mirror goes darker, they reflect all the things that are wrong with you. Now that they know exactly what matters to you, they will devalue the very things that matters most to you. Initially, they may have encouraged you to dress up and take care of yourself, and suddenly you'll be accused for wanting to attract attention from the opposite sex. When you no longer dress up, you're accused of letting yourself go, and you may even be told that you are an embarrassment to them. At this point, you think that you are in a nightmarish dream and you want to wake up because it doesn't feel good. But for some inexplicable reason, yet unbeknown to you, you do not run away. Why is that? The truth is, especially during the dark mirror phase, sadly, we more often agree with the distorted negative image that the abuser reflects back to us. The truth is that when we see what we expect to see, very deep within our unconscious mind, we believe it. And that's where the mirroring of an abuser gets very dangerous. When they mirror back to you what you think of yourself in an unspoken way, you believe it to be true. So many people grew up in homes where you received distorted mirrors. You may have been ignored, you may have been criticized, like one of those funhouse mirrors that distorts you. You may have been humiliated about your weight, your height, color of your hair, or your skin, or even about your crooked teeth. You may have only been mirrored for certain parts of yourself, and that would be a little bit like looking into a mirror and seeing only the distorted mirroring experience that you had as a child. You sadly take those things into your adulthood. We all do. That is the ultimate reason Or you don't always run away, when the mirror that the other person places in front of you is distorted. You don't run away when the psychological mirror in front of you is cruel or invalidating or unkind, because after all, that's what the mirrors of your childhood look like as well. Mirroring doesn't just happen in romantic or intimate relationships, even though that's where it's most likely to happen, because you're meeting someone as an adult and entering into a trusted relationship. It can happen in a professional relationship as well. For example, a colleague or a manager or a mentor may engage in a mirror tactic. Such an experience can leave you feeling powerless in the professional setting, without the ability to recognize the mirror tactic and devoid of any promise that this will end or change. That is really a unique manner of devaluing. But just like in any other relationship, this is a form of data gathering and control in an attempt to figure out your pressure points. And then that vulnerability can be used against you in the future. It destabilizes the work environment because you felt so heard and so valued and so understood initially, and suddenly you are so confused. They keep putting back this mirror, switching from light to dark, and often using equal parts, reflecting the parts of you that they actually studied and took the time to learn about. Those confusing mirrors sometimes it's distorted and sometimes works very accurate against you. You are dragged into these relationships believing them to be good relationships. Um, they make you think that they understand you. The fact is, when somebody puts back something on you that is perhaps a former part of who you used to be as a child, that is distortion. For your own sanity's sake, you need to step away the first time that you recognize that. But that also means that you need a more accurate mirror of yourself. Then there is abuser reflection. It gets crazy. That is when the victim starts reflecting to the abuser, when they offer compliments, acclamations, applaud. This is the preferred mirroring, and the abuser values the fact that there's no statistical error whatsoever. This is the bottom line foundation that the abuser always gravitates to. He wants to be, or she wants to be admired and just exalted. In fact, they need this more. They just need more compliments and acclamation. They need it more than oxygen. In order to conform to the abuser's value requirements, the victim is constantly on the lookout for ways in which to compliment the abuser, because if the victim reflects the awesomeness of the abuser back to them, then they may just be spared an abusive session. But it's no guarantee. But it works sometimes, not all of the time. The victims quickly learn how to stay mostly safe by reflecting, even if it is a false reflection, and it always is a false reflection. You make it up to stay safe. If the abuser will ever entertain a conversation about the abuser understands and admits to the truth. But as soon as he or she walks away from the conversation, they forget all about the outcome or the so called revelation, and the situation just perpetuates itself again. It is only when the abuser can come to an honest and real understanding of his or her behavior that the perfect law of liberty can take effect in both the abuser and the victim's lives. This means that you are free to be yourself. Can you imagine that? You can, however, not be yourselves when you are or do not understand who you are. When you have a warped perception of who you claim rights that do not belong to you. You claim the right to treat another person like a lesser human being while you exalt yourself to a higher status. This is wrong, and there can be no freedom in this kind of thinking or understanding. You have been lied to, and there comes a time when the abuser is fully known by those who share his or her life space, when the irrational behaviors, the ideas, and intellectual and emotional outbursts are just no longer excused and no longer accepted. The moment when the truth becomes clear, when the mirror reflects the true self. We all get to a point when we are vulnerable. Perhaps for some of us, it's only when we're much older, but we all get there. So I hope this has given you something to think about and to recognize if there are signs of abuse in your relationships. Perhaps if you are an abuser, have you used the mirror technique? We all have. So I leave you with this precious thought that if you have faith of a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you. Mirinda Summerton saying, have faith. Until next time.